You know, it's bad enough we got to come to work and get harassed and beat up by the passengers. But what happens when this happens, when management does this? This is about Assistant Chief Transportation Officer Charles Henschke specifically. In 2016, he came and put up a bulletin, wrote up his own bulletin saying that employees can't charge or use their electronic devices in the lunchroom and lunch area. In 2017, he came and put up employee incident reports and saying learn from others. That didn't come down until I got it in the Daily News. This current contract, you guys claim that there's no light duty positions for women. In fact, y'all got committees on committees on committees to try to figure out light duty work for women and on his job. Can someone explain to me how Mr. Henschke's brother got a light duty position at 130 Livingston Street? How does that happen without nepotism being involved? He can't even pick these jobs, these office jobs, if he wanted to. Any pregnant woman would love to have that office job instead of climbing over third rails, climbing on top of trains, operating a bus so they belly won't be hitting the steering wheel or pulling 40-pound garbage bags. Earlier this year, Mr. Henschke targeted me, and he was bragging that he was able to write me up. It got thrown out because by rule it wasn't my fault. But ironically, 25 days later, he tried to get me to change my statement on the G2. He sent the TSS to do that via another superintendent. And just recently, he claimed that I was tweeting on my train. Why would I do that when most of the bosses here follow my Twitter? It shows that he's targeting me. And when you target me and affect me personally, you affect this guy right here. This is my son. And once you campaign to target me, obviously and eventually you will get elected. And maybe the MTA need to change the name to the ISM because you guys got all the isms. Cronyism, nepotism.
Please
sexism.
kindly conclude your remarks. Thank you. Our next speaker is Alberto Alamo, followed by Rachel Faust.
Good morning to all of you out here, especially Mr. Accord for your involvement in safety. I have a few things to mention here. This picture here is a picture of a tunnel at 205th Street on the Delta line. As you can see, the concrete is falling. You can see those rods. That doesn't look safe. This picture here is right off the Manhattan Bridge on the Q line going northbound. Again, concrete is falling down. That doesn't look safe. Same thing over here, Q line, Manhattan side this time, Canal Street. Concrete falling down. Again, not safe. Beloved airline, here you go too. 14th Street, Union Square to 6th Avenue. Rotted support beams and pillars. To all that, I'm a work train operator, and these are some of our diesels. I could put my foot through that rusted hole. Now, with the weather being as cold as it's gonna get tonight, do you think that's gonna be a warm place to be? I don't think so. The crack that you see there is one of the doors to our cabs. Now, if I'm in the L-line tube and I have all that silica dust, even with a respirator, all that's coming into my cab, isn't it? So how am I protected? How is that safe? So all this I say, please care more about safety, because we're actually getting tired of this. You care more about the passengers? I don't think so, because they're exposed to the same things we are. So what makes it any different? You say you have no money to fix that, but $500,000 could fix a locomotive. Not $650,000 that you spent on this flat car. That's one. It's a piece of non-motorized equipment. For the price of this car, you can get 2 Lamborghini Diablos with a V12 engine. Does anybody see a rationale here? We're talking about spending wisely, not spending silly. So again, take safety into account, or else we will.
Our next speaker is Tremel Thompson, followed by Alberto Alamo.
You know, it's bad enough. Welcome to the Progressive Action TV show. You know, as always, I need you guys to share out the page. It's very important that we get all our coworkers involved. A lot of important information is being shared here. It's important to get your family members involved. They need to know what's going on with our job, because it does affect them in some form or fashion. And just start spreading the message. Start watch parties inside the groups. Put it on your personal page, and you know, all that other good stuff. Now, let's get straight into it. See something real quick. Move out the way a little bit. Now, this says Utano and his administration is full of. Get the fuck out of here! We don't want to say that word today. But they basically, they full of shit. And as you see, the bullet points or the flies shows you just a little bit of why they are, full of it. And I don't know how anyone in their right mind could agree to vote yes for a contract that's filled with committees. They have refused to be democratic since taking office 10 years ago. They have refused to do right by the members. And they doing whatever they want to do, and it's not in the best interest of the rank and file. So that's why we say that they are full of it, and they need to go ASAP. ASAP. Now, I meant to get into this before I went to that. The video that I just played at the MTA board meeting, I did that yesterday. Me and Alberto. I didn't even know he was gonna be down there until he hit me this morning, and I was on my way there already. But this is the thing. Specifically speaking of Assistant Chief Transportation Officer Henschke. See, here I got more than 2 minutes to talk about the abuse that some of these managers do, and specifically speaking him, because he used his power or his title as a tool to intimidate, to harass, to target, and to create a hostile work environment. Now, if you're going to throw stones at people and you want to target people, you should at least have your things in order and in check, in which he doesn't. And there's a lot of people telling on him. I get a lot of information from this guy, consistent information. I know when he's trying to write me up. I know what he's mad about, because he run his mouth to too many people. And really, I don't understand. Maybe the MTA want to cut me a check. I don't know. Maybe that's their plan, to cut me a check, to sue, to leave. I don't know. But Henschke is definitely going down that path for me to take some type of action, in which I have yet to do. I want the MTA to handle this internally before I go outside. I want to exhaust all my resources. So one of the reasons for me going to the MTA board is to say, so for them not to say that, they didn't know what was going on. No, the chairman know what's going on now. The president know what's going on now. And the MTA board know what's going on now. So they forced to do something. But as far as the nepotism claim, he used his influence to get his brother released to do work at 130 Livingston, office work. Now, like I said, I really don't care, because I'm quite sure this is happening with a lot of people. But those people, they are smart enough to move silently. They are smart enough to not target people. They are minding their business and being corrupt in their ways. And that's how you got to do it. But Henschke, he wants to target and still be corrupt in his ways. And he want to target me. And I'm not having it. Like, why would you do that? I'm not going to back down. You know that I have connections outside of MTA. You know that the media watch me. I'm not your average employee for you to target. But as far as nepotism, this is the code of ethics on nepotism. It says the policy of the MTA agencies to ensure that all job opportunities at MTA agencies are based on merit and qualifications. Employees are prohibited from participating in any hiring or employment decision relating to a family member. If a hiring or employment matter arises relating to a family member, then the employee must advise his or her supervisor of the relationship and must be recused from any and all discussions or decisions relating to the matter. There will be no preferential treatment for family members of current employees and or union officials. Charles Henschke clearly violated the the MTA Code of Ethics, Section 8.01 regarding nepotism. I'm asking the MTA, because you guys watch the show, you guys pay attention. Is Charles Henschke above the Code of Ethics? How does the Acto brother get released to do office work out of 8,000 employees in that division, out of all the women that have been pregnant? Because like I said in my video, the women here would love to do that type of work. They would love to do that type of office work. Is Charles Henschke above the Code of Ethics? And it's clear that Mr. Henschke inspires fear and contempt instead of leadership. And I'm asking the MTA to look into it. I'm asking the MTA to take action. I'm asking the MTA to keep Mr. Henschke far away from me, because it's not going to be good if we see each other. And just to be clear, I've been handling this for the whole 2019. I waited purposely to December for this to unfold. I had emailed Barry Greenblatt, who is the vice president of Subways, and when I let him know that I was being targeted, he basically told me to go handle it myself. And so I'm gonna handle it myself. Moving along, let's get into the lies of this local. Like I said before, let me put back up this flyer because I had to backtrack. Utano is full of it. Him and the administration is full of it. And we go point out a lot of the lies that they are telling. It's very important that we vote no, because they can't even be truthful to us members. Now, the union put out a flyer that's and it says, some are saying we would do better in bonding arbitration. What's the reality? As you see, I got something highlighted in yellow, and it says in 2009, the last time TWU Local 100 went to bonding arbitration, we were awarded the city pattern. That pattern included raises of 4.43 non-compounded, with the first 2 years broken into 2% each 6 months. I don't really care how it was broken up. It could have been broken up quarterly. The whole point was that we got over 11%. Now, the lie here is that, and I'm going to point it out to you guys because I like to provide receipts. The lie here is that they said that the wages wasn't compounded. The wages was compounded. And as you see what I got highlighted from the arbitration award in 2009, it says the 2011 wage increase shall be compounded on the wage rate in effect on February 1st, 2010. So that's a clear lie of them lying, trying not to get members to vote no.
Get the fuck out of here!
Clear lie, clear lie. Clear lie. Let me see who I got. Shout out. What's up, Toya? What's up, James? Deanna, Doug, what's up, bro? Yeah. He's a fool, Doug, man. He's a fool. But it's very important that we vote no for this contract, because they are clearly lying. And I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to break things down within a couple of days of the lies that they have been telling. And it's pretty shocking. And I don't believe that they're going, these lengths. Now let's get into Map Stower. I need you guys to pay attention. If you know a Map Stower bus operator, I need you guys to share this video out to them. If you from Map Store and you're in the Map Store group, please share this video out to them, because I'm gonna expose your two highest reps, Vice President Richie Davis and Donald Yates. First of all, the first day that the E-Board seen the contract. Now let's keep in mind, they didn't have a physical copy of the contract. The contract was put on a board, a digital board, and they was basically told, you know, what it was. They didn't have a chance to physically read it themselves. It was a PowerPoint presentation, a matter of fact. They didn't have a chance to read the contract themselves. It was basically scrolled through and they was advised on how to vote. So Mr. Yates vote his first day. I was pleasantly surprised and support a yes vote. He support a yes vote on Map Store. He support a yes vote. How can he support a yes vote when you got congestion pricing coming to New York City? And this is the details on the congestive pricing. A traffic congestion fee will go into effect in New York City by 2021 that would charge vehicles traveling into or within a predetermined area in Manhattan Central Business District. Now, this is the issue. Donald Yates' Home Depot is Quill, Michael J. Quill Depot on 40th Street. Quill Depot will fall under congestive pricing. Every bus driver who drives into work, because some of us do have to drive because we live very far away, because we can't afford to live in the city in which we work, will now have to pay a congestion pricing fee. The congestion pricing fee was not a waiver, was not included in the contract. You would have to pay to go to work, basically. Now, the union got Arctic pay for bus operators, but that Arctic pay is not going to neutralize the congestion pricing fee. It's just not. How can Donald Yates run to vote yes without addressing key issues that will affect members in the Michael J. Quill Depot?
Get the fuck out of here!
And then me and Yates, we got into it on Facebook. And not Facebook, we got into it on Twitter. And for some strange reason, he wanted me to explain pattern bargaining. Why he want me to do that, I have no clue. What was the point of him asking me that? I have no clue. But for some reason, he wanted me to explain pattern bargaining. Now, I know what pattern bargaining is. I'm quite sure Yates I know what pattern bargaining is. But do the people know what pattern bargaining is? So I'm going to educate the people, because that's what we're here for, to educate the people, because they put their foot in their mouth all the time. This is pattern bargaining. Pattern bargaining is a process in labor relations where a trade union gains a new and superior entitlement from one employer and then uses that agreement as a precedent to demand the same entitlement or a superior one from other employers. Pattern bargaining does not mean we take a loss. Pattern bargaining does not mean that we get an inferior contract from everybody else. It's made to either get what they got or get more. The problem with the way how Local 100 pattern bargain is that we always get less than what everyone else got. And I don't understand how that works, or how is that suitable, or how would members vote yes when we're not even being treated equally to the other city agencies in New York City. Now, this is the issue with the pattern bargaining. The other agencies that they compare us to make more on a dollar amount than we do. So 2% on $100,000 is different from 2% on $75,000. It's just not the same. So we are following a pattern percentage wise, but we are not following a pattern dollar for dollar wise, simply because they make more an hour than we do, and they make more at the end of the year than we do. So it's not really pattern bargaining that we doing. And since Mr. Yates want to talk about pattern bargaining, let's put this up there. this just came out today. Guess what? COBA, which is the union for the correction officers, they ink a 3-year contract for near 8% raises with Uniform Coalition that includes unions for police supervisors, correction officers, fire officers, and sanitation workers. Shout out to those workers over there. Shout out to those workers over there. Let's look into the article. It says the terms largely follow the economic raises included in deals City Hall reached within civilian unions, 2.2%, 2.5%, and 3% annually. But it also includes a 1% differential for the uniform workers, said Correction Officers Benevolent Association President Elias Hasadudamin, who serves as the coalition spokesman. This deal contains no zeros, no givebacks. It's roughly 8% in increases, and once we negotiate for longevity, annuities, and other things, it will probably be worth more. Once again, shout out to a real union leader doing real things for his membership. They got 8% in a 3-year deal. We got 9%, a little over 9% in the 4-year deal. Now, if you follow their pattern, the first year they get 2.2, the second year they get 2.5, the third year they get 3%. So if you figure a 4th year, it will probably be more than 3%, which means that if they had to do a 4th year, it would be more than 9%. Now, the 9% actually includes everything, our health care, our bonuses, everything. For the correction officers, that 3-year 8% does not include their annuities, their longevity pay, or anything outside of that. No uniform allowance, no anything. So their deal probably going to be worth maybe 10%, 12% for 3 years. So how can we accept a little over 9% for 4 years when the correction officers is going to be getting almost 10% for 3 years? And since Mr. Yates wanted to talk about pattern bargaining, we're going to touch on that again. This is from the 2009 Arbitration Award. More receipts. For the Arbitration Award, the arbitrators compared us to, guess what? Correction officers. In fact, it says in October 2008, the city agreed to award COBA, 8,300 members, 4% wage increases for the period covering November 1st, 2009 through October 31st, 2011. Now, that's important because if we go to arbitration, they got to follow pattern bargaining, right, Mr. Yates? And since they are following pattern bargaining, doesn't it make sense if the correction officers are getting more than us in 3 years than we are getting in 4? Wouldn't it make sense to follow the city pattern of pattern bargaining and get the same deal that they have, which is better than what we got in 4 years? Their deal is going to eventually be at least 10% for 3 years once you include everything else. Wouldn't that make sense, Mr. Yates? And I guarantee you that the police officers and the fire department are going to follow the correction officers pattern. The police officers are not going to take less than what the correction officers are taking, and I can guarantee you that FDNY won't do it either. The same people who they compared us to in 2009. So with your pattern bargaining excuse and your excuse to happily vote yes after seeing the contract for an hour in which the contract didn't address the congestion pricing that's going to affect your Home Depot, you should be ashamed.
Get the fuck out of here!
And this is why I tell you guys, do not listen to these reps. They do not know what they're talking about. They don't know anything for that matter. Let me see what you guys talking about on Facebook. See something real quick. See what you guys talking about on Facebook. I like to see what my people talking about. Can I get y'all comments up? Okay. Giassi, what's up, bro? Yeah, but see, this is exactly why I say that Donald Yates is a soldier. He's a hype man. He's a mascot. If you go on his Twitter, he's out there bouncing around and going in front of the buses and we ain't gonna take this. But he knows absolutely nothing about politics. He knows absolutely nothing about pattern bargaining. Once again, for all you guys in Map Store, ask Yates, why aren't we going to arbitration if the correction officers just signed a deal in 3 years that's worth more than our deal in 4 years? Ask him that, since he want to talk about pattern bargaining. I am not the one to play with when it comes to receipts and truth. I am not the one to play with. It's very important. It's very important that we hold our elected reps accountable. It's very important that we do not allow them to lie to us. It's very important that if they do get out of line, us as men, the men, get into their way and put them in their place. Now let's get into more of the lies of the Map Store department. We gonna go through videos. We gonna listen to the videos, and I'm gonna let you know where the lie is at. So let's get into it.
We are always the first guinea pigs to go up for a contract. So whatever we fight, we have to strike, we have to do, and then if you watch, everybody else follows us, right? The ATU will get the same raise, Queens will get the same raise, but most of the people who aren't there yet, we're gonna be making a high salary until they catch up. Every time that happens. They don't get the same raise. You go and ask a Queens bus driver, Staten Island bus driver, they're not making the same money we're gonna make once this contract is ratified, right? I'm confident it's gonna be ratified, but once it's ratified, we'll automatically be making more money, right? So, when somebody come and give you
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. One second. Y'all didn't hear me. I had my microphone on mute. But let's get into what I was saying was, of course, we're going to make more than the ATU drivers because we went first. So if we negotiate first, of course, if you ask the ATU drivers who's going to make more money or who's making more money, of course we are. So why is he using that as a selling point? It makes absolutely no sense. Let's get into another one of his videos right now where the lies just get worse, worse, and worse. Pay attention.
all the time. And at Gun Hill, it worried me because a person who was making a noise actually, and I said something to him. I said, you know, I probably shouldn't have, but I told him, don't let the suit fool you. Don't come 2 steps too close to me, because I don't care, right? And I did say that to him, right? Just in case they say that on Facebook, I said that because you're not going to keep coming to me aggressive, because I'm not like that, right? I'm not a nice person if you don't know me, right? So that's just how I want to make sure you understand, right?
Stupid.
If the young people understand.
Then he goes into scare tactics. I'm not a nice person if you don't know me. Don't let the suit fool you.
Get the fuck out of here!
Is that supposed to be a selling point for the contract so nobody won't ask you questions or challenge you about the lies that you're telling there, going to these shop gates to these lies that you telling? The lies get worse. Trust me, the lies get worse. We get into it. We go break down his whole 11-minute diatribe of lies.
So this contract right now, what they offered was a 2% raise, but they wanted us to pay for the raise. They wanted to take the new people. They want you to go to 5 years to 3 weeks vacation. For 15 years to get 4 weeks. Right now we get 3 years, 4 weeks, 15 years, 5 weeks. They wanted to take away a vacation slot in there. They wanted to increase the health contributions. They wanted to do one of the things from MAP store, they want our pick rights, right? And I tell you, as long as I'm the Vice President Department of Buses, I'll be damned if the buses ever pay for a contract. One time that happened to us, we paid $40 million in MAP store for a contract that will never happen again as long as I'm here, right? So one of the things that we focus on is never to give back nothing from buses. Not anything at all. Somebody else in the department want to give it, that's fine. We gave our portion, we don't need to give anything else. Like I said, it's the hardest job in the system. So for the contract, the first year.
Did y'all hear that? The hardest job in the system. Buses already gave back everything they wanted to give back. We don't care about those other departments. I thought it was an injury to one was an injury to all. I thought that's what the union was. It's obvious that these bus guys are going into their sections and selling their part of the contract and saying, forget everybody else. I'm only worrying about buses. This isn't unionism. This isn't unity. And he's using scare tactics to sell the contract and and give lies as to what he's doing. Let's get into another part of the video.
Before us at that point. So I want to see what the other agency does when their contract expires. Now, I think the nurses just settled a contract. Right. The wage pattern is set. That's why I keep explaining to people what happens. Right. So it's just ironic that happened right now to show you what that pattern is. And that pattern is at 2% because Bill de Blasio just said it for them. Right. 1 year, I don't understand. The third.
More lies. He said the city pattern, the nurses just settled the contract, and that their contract is the mayor said it. Let's look at their contract. I got their wages on the contract. Let's look at it. As you can see, I should have highlighted it for you guys, but if you guys watching on TV or a big enough screen, you can see where it say general wage increases to minimum rates and steps. Wage increases and corresponding adjustments shall be as follows. October 1st, 2018, 3%. October 1st, 2019, 3%. October 1st, 2020, 3%. In 3 years, the nurses, now this is the nurses contract, 1199 SEU. In 3 years, they got 9%, which means that in 4 years, it looks as if they would have got another 3%, 12%. That's the real pattern. This pattern that the local 100 is talking about, the local 100 administration is talking about, it's BS. They just can't fight. They don't know how to fight. So they go point to every which way just to say that they did what they had to do or whatever the case is. Here's the proof. You see the proof for yourself. The nurses got 3% a year, 9%. 9% a year. And the lies continue. Let's get into more of these lies.
Overall, the package they took, they increased all their medical contributions. Right? That's a problem because I think they tag it up to the new people at 4%. I don't think these new people here are going to be too engaged with us. We let them pay for more medical than we're paying. That across the board, the contract When we have the Me Too clause, it means that the overall package has to be higher than us, not just the raises, right? If they get a 4% raise and pay 4% of medical, we don't want that. It's over. We're not even going to ask for the raise anymore at that point because you just lost your whole raise on the medical. So that's with the Me Too clause is not meant for the raises, it's meant for the overall package that they don't get a higher package than us, okay? So when somebody say, oh, we have a Me Too, the raise, no, we have a Me Too on the entire contract package, right? So that's the raises. So any questions on the raises? Anybody understand how it's being done? Or you want me to?
Get the fuck out of here!
I don't know why he blatantly told this lie. He said the Me Too clause is for the entire package of the contract. The entire package of the contract. Now, it's either Richie Davis is deliberately lying or he just didn't read the contract that he voted yes to. And I believe that it's a little of both or all of both. How about that? This is what the contract says about the Me Too clause. For the duration of this agreement, in the event any of the employers or the LRRR reach an agreement providing for general wage increases greater than those provided herein to another bargaining unit, this agreement shall reopen.
Get the fuck out of here!
He blatantly told a lie about the Me Too clause. The Me Too clause only includes wages. So the MTA can give them the same wage increases that we got and give them more departmentally. And we still lose. Richie Davis do not know what he's talking about. And it's kind of shocking that this is coming from the VP of MAP Stowers. It's pretty shocking that he would go that route and go to that extent to lie. That's kind of crazy. That's really crazy. Now let's get into the last lie that he has told in this video. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He told about 7 different lies in 11 minutes. 7 different lies or intimidation factors to get you guys to vote yes for this contract. It's pretty shocking. Let's get into this next portion of this video.
You just asked a question about what the raise is going to be like. So how the raises are done is usually they do a consumer S&P index, and they look at the inflation rate, and at the time we will negotiate the contract is at 1.7, 1.8. That's why to get the 2%, they want us to pay the extra money for it. That's what they were fighting, because the inflation rate was below the 2% at the time. So where a contract is negotiated, you don't run into the room and jump on top of the table and say, can I get 10, 10, 10, and then they give you 5, 5, 5, because they ask for 10, 10, 10. They said aim for the ceiling, and then you get something in between. That's a myth. That's a fallacy. That's not realistic. That's not how negotiations work. You go in there and you have to have data, study format. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to speak to people. They have high-priced lawyers. We have high-priced lawyers. And we're all in there fighting. Not physically, but mentally and strategically. And you have to articulate yourself in a way at that table for people to give you what you want. And sometimes they still don't give you what you want, right? And the reason I talked about the managers here before when I talked about they're not your friend, because we had some of them, not like the lower, but the...
Get the fuck out of here!
More lies. It's easy to confuse. It's easy to bamboozle people who don't know or don't have the information directly in front of them, especially when they look to you for leadership. So they're going to take your word for what it is. But Richie Davis is flat out lying. First of all, for him to say that you don't negotiate a contract by asking high and meeting in the middle, where did he get that from? Do he read books? Do he know anything about negotiating? Like, yeah, you start high, just the same way the MTA did it. It's funny how the excuse that they use. The MTA started high with all this egregious givebacks, and the union is using that as an excuse. See, look, we beat them back. No, why didn't you guys start high? You guys started the negotiation practice, then the whole negotiations ass backwards by just asking for a raise that's fair. That's not how you negotiate. And That's why we got the contract that we got, because they use very poor negotiation tactics. Now, he also mentioned about inflation, and everybody, you know, all these reps throw out inflation. You know, they use all these numbers, but the main part of what kills transit workers is rent, mortgage, child care, school, those things of that nature. That kills us, especially rent and mortgage. We can't afford to live in the city in which we work. Now, this is the truth, and this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, where the union get their information from, the same place, but they don't tell you guys the whole entire story. This is the issue, and this is the real CPI. This is the real CPI for inflation. Now, let me read this because you guys need to hear this. Over the year, and this is for New York City, not all that other stuff. This is for New York City, where we live and work, most of us. Over the year, the index for all items, less food and energy, advanced 2.2%. A 2.1% increase in shelter prices included a 3% rise in residential rent and a 2% increase in owner's equivalent rent. Medical care prices rose 4.4%. A 3.9% rise in prices for tuition, other school fees, and childcare contributed to a 3.1% increase in prices for education and communication. Recreation prices rose 2.8%. In contrast, apparel prices declined 2.4% since last November. This is for Richie Davis.
Get the fuck out of here!
Now check this out. It's a 3% rise in residential rent and a 2% increase in owner's equivalent rent. That's more than our contract. Medical care prices rose 4.4%. Maybe that explains why the emergency room fee went up, and maybe that explains why the drugs for your medicine went up. Maybe because the percentages went up for inflation. But we feel that management got what they wanted with that, but we didn't get the wages that we need, the percentage wages that we need. It says it right here on the screen. I provide this information for you guys to go over it, to look at it. If you was to watch YouTube when this thing go off, when this broadcast go off, you was to watch me on YouTube, all this stuff will show up clear on your screen, especially if you got a big screen TV. All this information will show up clear. The proof is right here. It's right here for you to look at. These guys are lying. And it's very important that we vote no. I can't explain it any further. It's very important. Now let's go on to MTA bus. And I'm just going to point out one thing here, MTA bus, because it's the same set of lies that's being told from the department to department from this current union administration. But it's something I want to point out here. And it's number 5. Me Too clause on general wage increases with Long Island Railroad unions. Now, MTA bus, I want you guys to think about this. I really need you guys to think about this for a second. They talking about giving you guys a Me Too clause with Long Island Railroad. I need for you guys to make some sense out of this. MTA bus can't even get a Me Too clause with Mapstower or TA Surface.
Get the fuck out of here!
How can an MTA bus vice president worry about a Me Too clause with Long Island Railroad when they don't even have parity sick days as TA and OA? How can a vice president of MTA bus worry about a Me Too clause with Long Island Railroad when they don't have the same vacation, the same getting paid for your birthday and holidays off as we do? Shouldn't they be worrying about a Me Too clause with the same company that they work for doing the same work that they work for versus Long Island Railroad? Shouldn't they worry about that? How can you worry about a Me Too clause with Long Island Railroad, which MTA bus don't drive, don't operate trains. They don't have nothing related to trains, but they can't even get parity with OA and TA. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. I mean, really, to be honest, nobody in buses should vote yes. If getting paid an extra $2 to drive a bus that you should be getting paid $8 for is enough for you to vote yes, then your standards is very low. And you do deserve better. Don't let these reps fool you into taking a yes vote when the only thing they telling is lies. And when you look into our contract, we calling it the committee contract. It's a committee for damn near everything in that contract. We must think logically. Can we trust the union to handle the committee aspect of our contract? And my answer to that is no, because we seen what happened when they did handle issues that should have been handled during the contract outside of the contract with a committee. If you look at Aetna, how we got Aetna, healthcare is a main table discussion thing. It should only be discussed during contract. Utano, Samuelson, I don't know who was the president at the time. I think Samuelson maybe was president or Tony Utano was acting, but they handled the whole healthcare thing outside of contract. And what did that get us? We lost Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is very good, and we got Aetna, which happens to be bad. They handled that with a committee outside of the contract. That did not work out good for us. Let me bring up this paper right here. And all of the map stower and TA people know what I'm talking about with this, as far as the maintenance division. Remember, not too long ago, they deconsolidated the maintenance department. Y'all remember that, when you had to go back to your respective depot? So the people who was in map store but was TA had to go back to TA and vice versa. They handled that outside of a contract. And that should have been a part of the contract. A lot of people was disgruntled and upset behind this, but this is what we get when we allow them to handle things in committees. It do not work out good for us. And for those a part of stations, another thing that happened outside of the contract, which happened in the committee, was this whole deep cleaning. You guys' jobs being taken away, and then they letting you guys watch and observe for an extra hour a day. Or whatever it is, they paid y'all to go observe people take your jobs. That was done outside of the contract, but in a committee. Now, this whole contract is full of committees. They couldn't handle three things. They couldn't handle the healthcare. They couldn't handle deconsolidation. They couldn't handle contractors coming to do cleaners work. How can we expect them to handle all these committees? Like, first of all, when they gonna have the time to do all these committees? How can you trust them when they have failed us at every committee turn during their tenure, their reign for 10 years? How can we trust them? You cannot trust them with a committee. We do not want a committee contract. We do not deserve a committee contract at all. At all. And Clark D, he's 100% correct. He said MTA bus and private lines got nothing. He's 100% correct. Let me see. Thomas, let me put his comment on the screen. I want to read it. It says, show any figures you want. None of it matters. If a union builds no pressure to put on management, you get nothing, period. Who's that? It's supposed to be Utano. Utano came out before the expiration date. It said on TV he was in no hurry to settle a contract. Of course, he never did shit to be prepared for it. I agree. But the members have to wake up. See, the administration only get away with what we allow them to get away with. If we stand up and say no, the members, then they have to do what they got to do, or they know that they are in trouble without a doubt. They know that they are in trouble without a doubt. And we can't sit back and be docile and say, oh, this doesn't bother me. As long as I'm getting paid, I'm happy to have a job, because we actually killing the work. We are killing the work. You have Utano and his crew out here selling snake oil. They are selling dreams, pipe dreams. They want us to trust them, and they never gave us anything to trust. Just because we voted you in doesn't mean that you get a pass to be corrupt in peace. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean because we voted you in that you're not to be held accountable, and the only time you are to be held accountable is during the next election cycle. That's not how it works. We must hold our elected reps accountable at every single term. At every term, we should hold our elected reps accountable. Now, there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline, especially for you bus guys. They got autonomous buses. The reason the union put that in the contract is because they know and knew that the contract, that sooner or later that they're going to have these driverless buses. And the MTA already set up. They setting up already for it already. Why you think they clearing out 14th Street and all these crosstown streets? It's a short run. They getting people acclimated to not driving in these lanes, because these autonomous buses would do better with no traffic in their way and few people. And about time they ready to implement it, the technology is going to be way better than what it is now, and they are going to be able to pull it off. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'm telling you, all these crosstown routes, I want you guys to bookmark this video. The crosstown routes in Manhattan will be the first lines to get autonomous buses. Buses is going to be in very, very, very deep trouble soon. And they trying to save y'all. I mean, not save y'all. They trying to buy y'all with these little increases in Arctic pay and things of that nature. I believe that there will only be Arctic. I believe there will only be Arctic buses in the very near future. And the other buses will be operated by computers. The shorter buses, 60 foot, 40 foot, whatever it is, will be operated by computers. So they definitely setting up you bus guys. And it's very pertinent that you get as much as you could get now, because if this administration remain intact for another 10 years, or if Richie Davis or JP Patafio becomes president of this union, buses are in trouble, because they are only going to save themselves. They're not going to save the job. And it's proven that they cannot save the job, because they voting yes to a contract that do not benefit the members. We cannot trust them at all. We just can't trust them. Action speaks louder than words, and their actions are showing that we cannot trust them, and we shouldn't trust them at all. Now, for those who's watching, if you don't know, follow our Twitter. Follow, let me put that on the screen. Follow our Instagram. Put that on the screen. And follow our YouTube. We actually live on all these platforms at the same time. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We live on all these platforms at the same exact time. You see, Ariel, what you said. This man right here is going to lead our local in the near future. I strongly believe that. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you. Let me put that on the screen from Giassi. Don't know if anyone else thought about it, but the sum increase of the first 2-year percentages per hour doesn't even match hourly night differential. How about that? Yeah. What happened to night differential? What happened with that in the contract? No night differential, no extra boots. We gotta work with one pair of boots the whole entire year. Nothing of that. Like, you couldn't even get the things that you can get. Changes in uniform, better uniforms. These uniforms rip left and right, left. They couldn't do anything for that nature, but they going around parading talking about this is a good contract. These people is crazy. Well, I tell you this. Get this back on the screen. Whenever you see this flyer in the crew room anywhere, you must remember to vote no. The power is in our hands. We can't continue to remain docile, sleep, and only care that our direct deposit hit every 2 weeks. We must think deeper than that. We must fight back. Even if the administration don't want to fight back, we must fight back. It's all up to us. And like I said, vote no. The ballots are out now. You should be getting it any day. And let's send a message, not only to the MTA, but Local 100 as well. Thanks for tuning into the show. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.